Well, good evening, everyone. As a sponsor of the event tonight, the Institute for Ethical AI is pleased to have the opportunity to help set the atmosphere for the evening. And I'll be doing that with a little bit of a look at the relationship between humans and technology, particularly AI, from an evolutionary perspective, because this is a particularly interesting way of looking at this relationship that we have, because it gives some clues to the toolkit we already have as a species for dealing with a new technological ecosystem. So humans have a few features that are particularly unique. I'm going to focus on two of them. One is culture, and that is our ability or capacity to acquire vast amounts of information about others or from others, from social learning to imitation, to forms of communication like language, and by building technologies like AI. This is definitely part of our track evolutionarily, so it doesn't really stray. The second feature that's particularly unique is our sociality, and that's our ability to form large, complex communities with genetically unrelated individuals with whom we share resources voluntarily. And we do this effectively, and we also do this effectively with non-humans as well. And here's just two examples of how we do this with non-humans. One on the left is with a non-human animal like a dog. We also form relationships with non-human objects, inanimate objects like Wilson the volleyball. And also we form relationships with abstractions of entities, individuals that don't even have a physical presence in this world. So we're primed to interact with other entities around us in a social way. And I bring this up because AI is not particularly unique when we think about this kind of behavior that we already have. What is unique is that it's a new technology. And so we're thinking of how we rejig the rules we already have in place for interacting with non-humans and so socializing with them. So when I ask, is sociality artificial when we talk about AI? It's not. It's perfectly human and natural in terms of the types of behaviors that we're presenting. What is unique, though, it's the complexities of the technology that we're interacting with here. There's a huge diversity of AI functions that could range from the algorithm that sorts your spam email to a robot that you can interact with and have a conversation with. So having that diversity of functions also means that we have a diversity of human responses. And there are a few trains of thought about why we have those responses. One is aesthetic. There's the concept, or very famous concept, of the uncanny valley, that the emotional response we have to robots is as a function of their visual appearance. And in many cases, visuals have a huge impact. And you'll see that with Echoborg tonight. But also behavior is a critical component. So I'll demonstrate with one example. We'll take a look at this little video of the Boston Dynamics robot dog. And if you just look at this image of this robot dog opening a door for another robot dog, it usually elicits some kind of response of that's creepy, or you're not really certain of their intentions. It's suspicious. But if you follow that up with just a change of context and no change in visual appearance, a robot dog that's being subjugated by a human to what seems to be harmful behavior then elicits feelings of empathy. So here we can see that behavior is a huge component in how we interact with AI systems. So what does this mean for us? So if behavior is a critical component here, then when we consider our relationship to AI systems, we have to think about it from a frame of cooperation. Cooperation is the core of how we socialize. It's the dynamics that we have with other individuals, whether they're human or not human. And when we think about it from a cooperation frame of mind, it raises questions like, how costly is this interaction? Something like an AI spam filter or algorithmic spam filter doesn't necessarily elicit concerns about cost to you. It might have some benefits, but something like an AI interviewer may raise particular risks about your economic opportunities. So once we start asking these questions about what role this has with us in our groups as humans, then we can start writing the explicit social rules of engagement. These are the rules that we have with how we interact with one another, how we interact with inanimate objects or animals, or even the abstractions at a seance. Once we have those rules established, which will take a long time, and I can't answer that, even provide you a really substantial list within the 5 minutes that I have. But what you can do from here actually is something like this, like Echoborg, is taking the opportunity as an individual to interact with an AI system and consciously consider the interaction that you have, and think about the dynamics in place. What are the costs and benefits of this interaction? And it sets you up for really thinking long term with the next interaction that you might have with an AI system and where it fits within your life and the life of your community. And that's how we start adapting to life with AI. With that in mind, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Alex, who just give a little brief introduction to the Institute for Ethical AI. Please feel free to get in touch with us by email or at our website. Up to you, Alex.
Thanks, Selin. At the Institute for Ethical AI, we are committed to developing equitable and trustworthy solutions for organizations who are leveraging AI and machine learning technologies. Some of our current work includes the Future of Work Coalition, which had its official launch last Friday. We established a coalition to promote multi-stakeholder engagement when addressing the issues and challenges regarding the future of work and the use of emerging technologies by organizations. A lot of our work also focuses on risk management, and we are currently developing risk evaluation protocols for AI and data science products, including benchmark risk classification and risk management frameworks. These frameworks are being developed with support from public sector stakeholders, such as the Center for Data Ethics and Innovation, and focus on identifying and enumerating consumer risks so that equitable best practices may be established. And we are also developing a third-party certification process for AI and data science products in collaboration with AI Global. Without further ado, I'll hand back to Brigitte.